Who wants some pie?
I want pie, but I'm going to take your pie, Coach Crandall, and raise you another piece of pie. I'm going to
Pie
suggest...
squared? This is going to get mathematical really fast.
Well, then I'm out. If we're going mathematical, I'm out. I'm going to just go get some banana cream pie. But
ooh, is that your favorite slice of pie?
Probably. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Nice.
I'm going to challenge you to open up a pie shop in your house.
I will, if you know what, if it's the pumpkin pie from the finish line of the Thankful 13 that I love to run every year, I am so down to have a pie shop open in my house. But that's kind of a weird request. Why would I want to open a pie shop in my house? Marie Callender's. I'm going to be like Marie Callender's.
Oh, I mean, aren't those frozen pies?
Well, they are now. That's a great story. Have you ever heard that story? We'll save it for another day. I think it's a great story. Pie shop's open in my house. Now what?
Well, what does that mean?
I don't know. You told me that I wanted to. You're raising my pie, and so I'm just excited. I want to.
Well,
how would I open a pie shop in my house?
This comes from someone that I really admire, and his name's Ed J. Pinniger. He was an ecclesiastical leader of mine and an author, very dynamic, vibrant speaker, great dentist. Anyway, admired by many, many people. And he would tell us that we need to give someone a slice of pie every day. Everybody needs a slice of pie. And then he would go through the letters, P.I.E. And do you want to take a guess at what the letters may stand for?
Positive, intentional, and empathetic.
Oh, those are good words. You could have this could be a whole other line of pie shops.
Cool. I've got more pie.
Whole new franchise opportunity there for you. His pie was praise, inspire, encourage.
I like that pie.
Yeah, and he just said, if you gave everybody wants pie every day, and if you were to give that to other people, just think about how much better the world would be and how much stronger and more enjoyable your relationships would be.
Yeah. I think that's actually a really great point. Everybody needs more of those things. Like with real pie, we don't need pie. It's good, it's tasty, and like we feel like we need it, but we don't need it. I think with this pie you're talking about, the praise and the inspire and encourage, I think everyone needs that. I think humans are a bottomless pit of validation.
For sure. And I want to get to some key points here. I'm going to lead you into this, but maybe surprise you here with a little plug for one of my favorite podcasts. It's called Team Success. And the podcast is done by a wonderful coach, Shannon Waller. She's part of Dan Sullivan's strategic coach team. We're both fans of strategic
Big
coach.
Fans, yeah.
She did an episode on praise. And it was very insightful to me. And I took a few notes, and there were a couple of things that I wanted to I pulled out of that I want to share with our parents today.
Let's hear it.
And I think that you will jump all over this, Coach Crandall. So looking at my notes, there were two things. There were a lot of things. There's two things that really jumped out to me that I thought would be so important for parents, because even though this is a business podcast that she does, it's for entrepreneurs, this is totally relatable to families, teams, parents. So the first one was deliver authentic, timely recognition for maximum impact.
There's a lot to unpackage in there.
Right. And then she busted out an A word, not that A word, another A word. But foster a culture of appreciation among team members. So in this case, it would be among family members. But that word appreciation, for some reason, really jumped out to me. That if you're doing praise right, that there's some appreciation in there. And,
Yeah.
by the way, Nate, if our listeners and watchers go back to episode 10,
Yeah.
we did a whole episode on performance conversations with your teen athlete or performer as a parent. And we really hit on the praise piece. So that's episode 10. It's really a good episode that ties into what we're doing.
Yes, sir.
But back to this delivering authentic, timely recognition for maximum impact. Does anything jump out to you there?
Well, to me, if you want it to be authentic and timely, the best way to do it is to use specificity. And I love that word because it's hard to say, but once you get to, once you know how to say it, it's actually great. But specificity wins when it comes to delivering praise, especially with your kids. But to be specific, it's got to be authentic and it's got to be timely. And so when they do something good, don't wait until next week to say, "Oh, yeah, you remember when you did that last week? Good job." Because they're like, yeah, and they feel okay. But when you do it in a timely way and it's sincere and authentic, it's really, really powerful. And so it's that specific praise. It's me as a coach grabbing a kid right after they've made a play and say, "Hey, you moved your feet incredibly well on that position or possession. Great job." Specific, timely. They remember it. They felt good about it. And then I validated those good feelings by telling them they did do a good job. So I think that's a great way to try to do that. And I think, her talking about businesses and teams, it's the same thing with your kids, especially your athletes and performers. They need to know that you see them doing the things that they're trying to do well.
Okay, this sounds really easy. This sounds really straightforward.
Yeah.
But what about well, if you're praising the golden child, I don't know if you were the golden child. I sometimes have been accused of being the golden child. But what about a situation where the teen, their grades are just stellar and their room is spick and span and they just hit the game-winning shot and they also just got done volunteering at the old folks home? It's just like,
Are you talking about Zac Efron in High School Musical here?
Everything is so easy to praise, but what about a situation where the parent is so frustrated because right in front of their face is poor behavior, poor results, and they're listening to this going, you need to come to my house and you need to see her, you need to see him, and I dare you to praise them.
A lot of that is perspective. Sometimes it's easy to lose that as a parent. I've worked with multiple kids, multiple families where the phrase, you see the forest for the trees, like sometimes when you're in the middle of the forest, it's really hard to see it, but then you step out and away from it and you can appreciate some things about it. As a parent, what can help you improve that perspective? What's your perspective of your kids and what they're doing, what they're going through? If you can tweak that a little bit, it might help you identify some things that they are doing well. Because when we get too focused on the things they're screwing up, their room's a mess, their grades are bad, they're hanging out with the wrong kids, the list goes on. And, and I've seen it with some of my kids, and it can be really tough to find those things, but a shift in perspective, and all you're looking for is what's one or two things you can praise them for. And sometimes you might have to praise them at something you don't necessarily want to praise them for, but something that's important to them.
What would be an example of that?
So, not that I have anything against skateboarding, but if I have a kid that skateboards a lot.
You're going to pick on the skateboarders.
We're going to pick on the skaters because skaters tend to have a bad rap. They're great kids. But let's say I don't like skateboarding at all, but my kid's all let up in it. And he goes out and he's skating. That's an important thing to him. If I can praise him on something that's important to him, that might help him be a little more receptive to some of the other things that I have to say.
Go practical.
I go watch him at the skate park. I just watch him and be like, dude, that's
dude. You got to start the sentence with dude for sure.
Yes, you do. Sorry, dude.
Dude,
that was a great trick. And then ask about it. I could never do that. That's amazing. Where'd you learn how to do that? How long did it take you to get good at that? I can go that route with it, but by praising something that is valuable to him, then I can kind of open the door. Is that what you're after with some practical?
Oh yeah.
And like that might mean video games. It drives me crazy when kids get all into video games and spend all their life playing it. But hey, man, you get those dubs on Fortnite, and that's a really cool thing. And if you praise your kids for getting Fortnite dubs, then maybe they'll listen to you about getting the dubs in the classroom as well.
I like it. So should we slice a piece of pie here?
Can I say one thing about the foster the culture of appreciation among team members?
Well, of course you can. You're a co-host of this program, so yeah, you have full permission to do so.
That was the second thing that Shannon Waller said when she was talking to Dan Sullivan.
The appreciation.
Yes. Yeah, the culture of appreciation. Having a culture of appreciation within your family can be key for this and making it work. So if I have a kid that's a little bit off the rails, but the way we do things in our family is we talk about things that we appreciate with each other, that allows them to feel like they're still part of things. If I can appreciate some of the things that they do, what they add, and if they appreciate some of the things that we're doing, it helps keep the family together, even though they all have a bunch of different interests, or if somebody may be the non-golden child.
And this can be something so simple.
Mm-hmm. It does not have to be anything
simple if they just pick up one clothing item or put one thing away or
do
anything that shows consideration to somebody else, just by recognizing that and showing appreciation for it could be a game changer.
Kids put a lot of energy and effort into what they wear, how they're fit. You praise their fit. Like if your kid walks out and even though you don't love what they wear, they look good in it, be like, yeah, that actually looks really good on you. I love your fit today. Say it in their language if you can. If you can't, I love your fit today.
That's the current language.
I don't know if it's the current language, but that's been in the last little while. So it changes so fast now. It's amazing to me. Like in the course of a year, you go through 4 different vocabularies. Crazy. But if you can stay up on that stuff and speak their language, and that's another good thing. If you can talk the way that they talk, they're going to moan and they'll complain about you doing it, but it's the effort.
I like that. I always feel like I'm way behind the kids
we're always way behind.
Language.
As adults, we're just it's amazing to me how fast they can shift their culture. It's actually super intelligent. It's almost mental ninja like, but
right. Okay, let's slice up a full pie of whatever.
Okay. So with praise,
let's start with praise. And what's interesting is we could write a whole book on this, but
somebody already did.
Somebody already did. His name's Dale Carnegie.
Yeah.
And he wrote a book that our listeners may have heard about, which is How to Win Friends and Influence People.
One of the OG books when it comes to that genre.
This would be top 20, maybe even top 10 of all time. It's a classic. Should be read and, might I say, reread.
Probably should be taught and studied.
Probably should be taught.
Not just read.
So many really good things. So we're just going to pull out one of his principles for the P.I.E. For the piece of pie, praise, inspire, encourage. Under praise, he teaches that we should give, and this just goes back to what you were saying with that word that I don't want to try to pronounce.
Specificity.
That S word.
Yeah.
Rather than and we do this a lot as coaches, sport coaches, and sometimes it's also a time thing. You maybe during the course of a game don't have a chance to give a full specific thing. It might be somebody running out of the game or whatever, and you say, hey, good job. But I would also argue that you could probably spend 5 seconds, 6 seconds, 7 seconds, and get more specific with that. Or you could have an assistant coach do that. As a parent, somebody coming in the kitchen, you definitely have time to do this. And
even if you circle, like timely is, there's kind of a bubble of time. it doesn't have to be immediately after. It's great if it is, but if for one reason or another you miss it, as soon as you can get back to it, the opportunity is not gone. Just, the locker room at halftime, after the game, grab them really quick, or you watch it on film and then you go back to them the next day. Hey, I watched that play again on film. Do you remember this, and this, that play? You recreate the specificity of it and then say, that was tremendous. Go watch it.
Right. But if you are only good job, they start wondering, what
do
was
they really think I'm doing a good job, or are they just saying that because they're my parent?
Just saying it. Yeah. Okay, let's go to the letter I.
Yeah.
Inspire. What's the principle that Dale Carnegie wants us to get here?
So the idea is to help others see their potential. And sometimes when we're working with our kids and we see their potential and we really want them to get to it, but we're getting hung up on the faults, one of the ways you can move forward, and this is this principle, is make the faults seem easy to correct. Like, this is your potential, and yeah, you're having a hard time staying organized, but it's actually really easy to just do a couple of things. And if you can make it easy,
that's great.
That really inspires somebody, because we do easy. That's why we love our cell phones. It makes everything so easy. That's why we love shopping on Amazon, because it's so easy. If you can make the faults easy to correct, you inspire them to get better.
And everything is hard before it becomes easy. So as a parent, if you are helping them to realize that, wait a second,
you can
fix this.
Yeah, it's an easy fix. You got it.
Really,
so I think I love that principle. Make the fault easy to correct.
Yeah, parents, make that happen. Okay, we go to encouragement.
Mm-hmm.
A good principle is to get them to talk about themselves.
It's really interesting.
I know when I talk to parents, Nate, this is one of the big challenges. I can't get him to talk. I can't get her to talk. And it can be very frustrating. And if you ask them to, hey, tell me about this, that might work. You might just spin your wheels. How can we get kids to talk about themselves?
Get them to talk about things they enjoy. Like with my kid that's a skater, if I can, get them talking about some of those things, like I was talking about with the tricks. That's a great trick. What's your favorite trick that you do? What's the hardest trick that you've learned how to do?
Hey, that's actually a great trick that you just used, is you asked questions rather than just say, hey, tell me about this. I like that. That was tricky in and of itself.
I will also throw this in here because I think it's one of the things that we miss, especially when they're younger. So if you have younger kids, this may actually be a better one to use. Encourage your kids to talk for themselves. When you go to a restaurant, make them order. Don't order for them. Have them interact with the waiter. You encourage them to talk in public rather than doing the speaking for them.
Brilliant. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Okay, let's wrap up this Pie Shop episode. Nate, I've got 3 questions for the parents, and I want you to maybe elaborate on each of these. These are invitation challenges. These would be practical questions that parents need to answer for themselves, and it will help them to open up their own pie shop. So for praise, what are 3 things you could praise your teen on from this past week?
And you might have to work to find some of those things, but just asking yourself that, because when you ask that question, you're going to start to notice more of the things they do well. It guides you to look for, instead of being like, oh my gosh, they're always screwing up. Oh my gosh, I need to praise them for that.
We will usually find what we're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The inspire question for our parents is, what's one way you can help your teen see their potential?
That's a really good one to think about as a parent, because you have to pause and think about, I can tell them that I think they have potential and they might not believe it. But if I can help them to see their potential, then it might hit home. And so that's why that question is designed the way it is. Really look at, as a parent, how can you help them see the potential that they have? Not just tell them about it, but help them to fully grasp their potential.
I really love that one, because you will hear parents say all the time, he has so much potential. She could do so many things, but we need to get them discovering their own potential, their own possibilities.
Yeah. And that's where the praise kind of feeds into that inspiration. Now, if you can praise the things they do well, that kind of helps them to see the potential that they have.
Okay, we're going to finish up with the E, with encourage. Question for the parents would be, how can you express genuine interest in your teen?
Genuine interest is, you've got to find a way. And remember, if it's like the skating, the game stuff that you might not be interested in, you're not interested in what they're doing. You're interested in your kid. And so it's, hey, I'm interested in Billy here. And so I'm going to ask Billy about skating or whatever Billy does. And then he feels that you're genuinely interested in him by asking about the things that are important to him.
I'm really hungry, Nate. So wrap this up.
Parents, go open up your own pie shop. On behalf of Steve Galley, I'm Nate Crandall, and we thank you, our loyal listeners, for tuning in to this episode. If you love what you're learning from the Stop Parenting and Start Coaching podcast, we would appreciate it very much if you would leave us a 5-star review and some glowing comments. We also encourage you to share this episode with your friends and family who are parents of athletes and performers. And if you want to explore further and see what Steve and I are creating to help thousands of parents, athletes, and performers, please visit our company's website at createtransformbecome.com. That's createtransformbecome, all one word, .com. There you'll find a growing number of resources to help you elevate your performance. Thank you again for your support, and we encourage you to create a magical relationship with your athlete and performer.